Hello and welcome back to my little space on the internet. My name is Lucy, and if you are watching this video then chances are you are probably looking to work at Walt Disney World by doing the cultural representative program. Let's backtrack a second. If you watched my last video, I did a walkthrough of the online application. I'll put a little link to it somewhere up there. And in today's video it's going to be more talking about sort of what to put in a CV and in a cover letter. Some things seem like common sense, whereas other things I think are a bit more specific to what this application is for. I would like to say a little disclaimer: I do not work for Yummy Jobs, the recruitment company, nor do I work for Disney. These sort of like tips are just from my experience and the experience of my friends who are either doing the program or have already done the program. Let's just get straight into it. So a couple of things to really consider when doing both the online application bit and your CV and cover letter is three things. Keep it concise. So for your cover letter and your CV, I would personally say try to keep to one page for each. Number two, keep it relevant. So pretty much with concise, just say the things that are relevant to this program. If you are going to do any explaining, explain those in a bit more depth. But for example, there's no need to explain why you may be a zookeeper. Like, I don't know, a random job that may not have any relevance or transferable skills to this program. The final thing is to keep it professional, but do let your personality come through. Of course you are applying for a job, but Disney is a very fun company to work for. If you can express like lightheartedness as well as keeping it professional, then by all means add a little bit of personality to your application. But first of all, I'm going to go through the CV part of it. As I say, I really like to keep mine to one page. They're going through hundreds of thousands of applicants, and you want to make yours very easy to read so that they can see all the criteria that they need to, and then send you on straight to the pre-screen. I tried to split mine into about 5 or 6 sections that are clearly headlined so that at a glance they can see what they want to check out. If I can, I will put a little overall photo of what my CV looks like. Yes, I do have a strip of pink on there to add a bit of flair, and I also do have a photo. Both things you don't necessarily have to have. If you don't want to put a photo of yourself on your CV, by all means you don't have to. I just thought that it makes my CV look a bit more like, it has a bit more of a design to it. I do take pride in things like my Instagram, so if I had a way to sort of jazz up my CV a little bit, I did. Underneath where my photo is, I do have a brief little information section. So this is absolutely standard on all CVs, so like your name, your contact information, your address, etc. Then the second section is a personal statement. So this is pretty much 2 short sentences just explaining who I am, a bit about like my hobbies and my attributes. So it was something like,
a soon-to-be undergraduate in public relations and advertising. I have a keen interest in all things Disney and travel related. My imagination and initiative comes in handy when doing collaborative teamwork or when working solo.
It was something like that. I can't really remember what it was off the top of my head, but yeah, it was just 2 sentences to briefly state who I am, what I enjoy, sort of like outside of work, and how that personality helps when at work. And then the third section is a skills section. So sometimes people just like list their skills, like, team player, that comes in on time, food and beverage experience, merchandise experience, whatever. But I again wanted to get a bit more creative with how I would show my skills, and I actually did it in sort of like a miniature, a bar graph to sort of show. It sounds a lot more complicated than it is. Again, if I can insert a photo, I will do so just here. So I would say my key skills, I wouldn't put a skill up there that I rate terribly in. So I included skills like teamwork, public speaking, imagination, customer service, things like that. And then I just did a little line, and I think I did do it so it was almost like, it was like 10 little notches. So then I would say like I have really good, like a 10 out of 10 customer service experience, that may be like a 9 out of 10 multitasking, like things like that, so they could see what my top skills were, but still within that, how I would critique myself. So for these skills, yeah, you can put like food and beverage experience, customer service, teamwork, confidence. If you want to set it out like that, then you can. If you still just want to list them, that's perfectly fine. You can also do that. The main thing is that it's really easy for the recruiters to see at a glance what your best skills are and whether they are applicable to the job that you're going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, doing. And then the fourth section is education. So this, I personally think, can be as brief as possible. If you do have a qualification for something that is really relevant, then by all means do highlight that. If you want to say 1 or 2 short sentences about it, like if you did some kind of qualification in food and beverage or merchandising or something, by all means do highlight and add an extra line about it. But again, what I did was at the top I said my most recent, so that was the fact that I was going to be an undergraduate, where I studied, what I studied. Then just under that I also put the fact that I did do an exchange semester during my university degree in Canada to show that, you know, I love traveling and I'm happy to meet new people and live in foreign countries. And just after that I put, so I actually went to a school, so the same school where I did my GCSEs, I then did my A-levels, so I just said that I had 3 A-levels. I just put like a rough grading of what I got. And then for my GCSEs, again, I didn't list all of them. It's really not necessary, so you can just say the amount you got, the grade boundaries that you got within. If you want, you can also put like your top 3 most relevant subjects that are within that 12. There's no, you know, they don't need to know that I got this supposed score in religious education. Like, it's not really necessary. And then now we go on to, this is going to be relevant experience. And this you can, you know, you can add a little bit more than say what you had originally put in the online step. But again, I listed all of mine, but I just kept it to 3 main responsibilities slash skills that I had learned from that job, and then put it in. I always start with the most relevant, and I say the company that it was for, what my role was, and how long I was there for. And another thing that I will also say is that when you're putting your skills and the responsibilities that you learn within it, you know, if you find yourself kind of repeating, if it's a job, so say you've worked as a server but in 3 different restaurants, try to phrase it differently so that even though it's kind of the same thing that you was doing, you learn something different from each of them to show a bit of diversity, and that you're a well-rounded individual when it comes to customer service and working within a role that's relevant to what you're now applying for. The final section that I put in mine is testimonials or references, if you want to also say it like that. I know that in a lot of CVs, again, me myself have done this in the past, I will put at the bottom like references upon request, but as I say, this is a job that hundreds if not 1,000 people are applying for, and Yummy Jobs do not have the time to ask you to then contact your referral person to get a statement. So if you have a way of getting a statement that you can already put on your CV, then that is great, because they can see it straight away. They have a bit more confirmation of other people's views of you whilst you were working with them. So with me personally, whenever I do leave a job, I do ask for a letter of recommendation, so then within this little reference section I purely take just like 1 sentence that they've said, and we'll pop that in there. So for me, I have 3 referral pieces on my CV that I submitted for the Cultural Representative Programme. They're a bit of a mix of jobs, so one was for a social media internship, one was when I worked in a bridal store, which was my first year, and then one was actually something called a grape soda. So if you have worked for Disney before, then you will be aware that there is a system where cast members can recognise other cast members, and on the intranet, on the hub, you can submit something called a grape soda, which is basically like a way to give like a good comment to a cast member. So the way that the public have the hashtag cast compliment on Twitter, grape sodas is like the internal recognition system for cast members. So I was actually fortunate enough to get quite a few grape sodas. I worked with an amazing cast, and yeah, it was really incredible. And there is this lady called Ada. I'll insert a photo of me and one of my roommates, Melina, with Ada. She is a legend on Sunset. Like, if you've worked on Sunset, you will know who Ada is. If you have probably just even been on Sunset, and specifically if you've been on Sunset and it's been your birthday, you will have encountered Ada. Like, she will sing happy birthday and you will be like the other end of the store and you can hear her singing happy birthday. And even if she sees like 2 people with birthday buttons in the space of 30 seconds, she will sing happy birthday twice, and probably louder the second time. So she is incredible. So it said, Lucy's positive attitude and beautiful smile makes our guests feel appreciated and welcome. She is professional, approachable and polite. What a cutie. So as I say, it's very short, it's 1 sentence, but it just gives an overview to what your other colleagues do think of you when they've worked with you. And then what I would do sort of to say how to say who had said that would be, so I would put a little dash and then I would say the role of who it was who had said it, so whether it was like store manager or whatever, and then I would say the company that it was for. So that is it for the CV. So for the cover letter, I always get a bit freaked out when writing cover letters because I either feel like I'm saying too much and it's just too much on 1 page, or I just don't even know what to put in it. What I came to realise applying for 2 Disney programs is that this is your way to show more personality. Like, I know I said in the CV, you know, this is your way to show personality, but for the cover letter, like, I feel like that's really what it is, and it's kind of like an add-on to those application process questions where, you know, it's like, why do you value cultural exchange, you know, what's your motivation? Again, kind of the same thing in your cover letter. If you are watching these types of like application videos, then I am absolutely certain that you have come across Adam Hatton. His videos on the application process are super helpful, very concise, very professional. I will put a link down to his channel just down below, but one thing that he mentioned when he said about, you know, doing a cover letter is say where you've been, where you are currently and where you want to go. And this is still the best advice that I have ever received when writing a cover letter, because it is so true, and it's a really good way to break it down into 3 clear short paragraphs why you want to do this program. Quick overview of a cover letter as a whole. If for some reason you have never written one, well, it's usually set out in a formal letter style. So that will be with your address in the right hand corner, and then usually like the company's address that you're applying to in the left hand corner. I did the company's address as the Walt Disney Hammersmith address. Not that it has any relevance, but I thought ultimately I'm applying for Disney, so I'm going to put the Disney address. Again, something that's really not that deep, but I know in group chats it can throw up a lot of question marks for people who are applying. But then I always start like, dear Sir or Madam, just to be polite, and then I just sort of state what this letter is for. So I'm excited to apply for Walt Disney World's Cultural Representative Programme and represent the UK authentically. Something like that, just, you know, what is this letter for? So the first paragraph, as I mentioned before, is going to be hopefully about your past. So this is a way to sort of briefly summarise your experience. I really like to say, you know, a skill that I got, where I got it from, and compare it then to another skill that I also got and where I got it from. So let me just quickly read out a line, so hopefully it'll make more sense.
For the past 5 years, I experienced a variety of roles within the retail sector, from helping brides find the perfect wedding dress for their big day in a bridal store for 3 years to working efficiently at a supermarket checkout as hundreds of guests do their weekly shopping.
So this is sort of like a comparison of things, you know, at Disney you're going to be giving a really wonderful experience, however at the same time you are going to be battling lots of big crowds. So showing that I have the skills to do both things, so that they can think, yeah, you know, when this girl is in Epcot or working within the UK Pavilion and, you know, it's Food and Wine or Festival of the Arts or something and the park is going to be absolutely rammed, yes, she can handle it. Think in the mindset of a Disney recruiter. Just after that, briefly, I did mention the fact that I had done a Disney program before. I said that I was very fortunate to be able to do it, and what it is that I had done during that time. And I really tried to point out the fact that that experience has fueled me on further to want to really dive right into doing the same thing again, but for a longer period of time. So this is the second section where you really want to talk about where you are currently. So this is when I mentioned that I was a soon-to-be graduate and that the CRP comes at a perfect time in my life where I feel like I can really take my passion and drive for the company that step further. And again, I sprinkled a little bit of personality in there by saying the fact that, you know, I did have memories of watching Mary Poppins countless times, and that this has really built up my passion for Disney, you know, since childhood. So I feel like now I can contribute towards the company in a more like professional way, to really put my passion and my drive further into the company. And then of course you are applying for the cultural representative program, so again it is very important that you do emphasize culture in your cover letter, and I said that I do really value culture, and the fact that I, coming from just a town on the edge of London, have a completely different perspective to what people have in Walt Disney World, and I actually made sort of like a little comparison between where I live and Walt Disney World, saying that they are in fact very much the same, in the way that, you know, there are so many different cultures intertwined, and that is very important for now in the modern world that we do live in. And so then the final paragraph should sort of be a brief summary of where you want to go, so things that you want to do in the future. So this is a section where I said the fact that in summer I will be graduating, and I would really love to continue into the future to work behind the scenes for the Walt Disney Company, ideally within like their communications team, and how the cultural representative program will give me sort of a next step within this career path. It does incorporate what my skills and what my passion already has, and it will give me a new insight into the company. And then on the final line, again, I sprinkled some of that personality in there, and a bit more enthusiasm. This I think is pretty much on the edge of like still keeping it professional but still being a bit like cheesy Disney. So I said, as I left Walt Disney World at the end of my exchange program, I hope that it was not a goodbye but a see you real soon. And here I am, hoping that in 2018 I will be able to continue my journey with the Disney Company and make magical memories for others the same way Disney has for me. Yours sincerely, Lucy. So that's very much, I feel like, on the edge between like what is professional and but still adding a bit of personality. I personally felt like it was a nice little bow on the end of my application. I think I was probably listening to some Disney soundtracks while I was writing it, so I was in full-on Disney mode. But yeah, so if you have any questions, as I say, applications do open today, which is very exciting. By all means, do drop them in the comments down below. Applications do close on the 7th of March at 9 AM, so do get your application sent in, and I would say if you can do it sooner rather than later, by all means do. I'm more than happy to answer any questions, and as I say, share some advice. I don't work for Yummy Jobs, but I have been successful twice now for 2 separate Disney programs, so hopefully my little bit of experience can help you to secure your own place. And yes, in next week's video I'm going to be going over what the pre-screen, so the group interview, is like. So by all means watch that and get prepared, because I think pre-screens, they said that they're going to be in April, so they're going to come around very quickly. But before that, I'm going to be uploading my LA travel video from after my cultural exchange program in 2017. That's going to be coming on Friday, and then on Monday I am uploading my first day in Animal Kingdom, which was really fun, and I think we finished in Epcot, so I'm foreseeing the future in that video. Not really. I don't really know what that was. Anyway, so until I see you then, I will see you real soon.